you don't really know what's going to happen.
We want to make sure that everyone can be chasing that American dream.
Sometimes the only way to succeed is just to not give up. Now they know the other side.
I like the sounds they choose. I think they're really interesting.
I imagine like Bambi playing in the background, like just frolicking around with his little furry friends and having a good time in the daisies and shit. That's what I imagine. Yeah, exactly. Like that Swedish person that like is like when their little outfit and is dancing in the mountains and the flowers. That's what I imagine when this song's played.
Tell us more about that, Mike. Tell us more about
it's just no.
people dancing in the mountains.
I just can't. It's not my thing. But,
Yeah.
all right.
Fair enough. Well, I don't like Nickelback. And you love Nickelback. We all have our things.
I don't love Nickelback. I
That's
enjoy
bullshit.
them. See, I enjoy.
That's such bullshit.
I enjoy Nickelback to listen to in certain situations.
The thing is, if you like one Nickelback song, you like all Nickelback songs.
Exactly.
They're all the same.
But I don't love them. I wouldn't go to bat for them. I wouldn't pay more than $30 to go see him in concert.
I call bullshit on all of that.
I mean,
100%.
All right, maybe $100.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
dude.
it. No more than that. I wouldn't do VIP unless they offered it. You know.
Yeah. I don't think I would go if somebody offered me a ticket.
I would do the same with Coldplay.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
All right. Well, teach their own.
Weird,
Everyone
man.
has the right
Teach
to be
their
wrong,
own.
as we say.
Everybody has the right to be wrong.
Yep.
And that's a nice thing. Because guess what? In the world of business ownership and entrepreneurship, you're going to be wrong a lot.
That's true.
That's just how things go.
It is.
Sometimes you're the person that's wrong. Sometimes you're the person that's wronged. But it's just going to happen all the time.
Take it on the chin sometimes.
Yeah, you do. So I did something earlier today.
What'd you do?
I asked ChatGPT for its the most common worst business advice.
Okay.
You want to hear some of what they said?
I would like to, yes.
Okay.
Because ChatGPT's on a roll, dude.
ChatGPT's on a roll. I use this thing for everything. Like I heard Gary Vee talk about the other day about the radical decline of search engines.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, dude, why would you like? I don't understand. Google is so frustrating compared to ChatGPT.
Yeah, because it gives you a million articles versus ChatGPT gives you straight, and then if you like it, it gives you the sources.
You see the source. Yeah, you just go right there. It's so annoying. Like, so if I'm like, hey, what's this? I got to search a million things. I got to click into 13 different pages. I got to read a bunch of articles to find out what's wrong. ChatGPT is like, it's got the moxie to just be like, well, I know the answer. I'll give it to
That's
you.
true. It
It's
does.
like, wow,
Yeah.
you arrogant.
really think about it.
Arrogant fuck. My goodness.
Yeah.
But they came up with some good ones. I'll share.
let's
They
hear
gave me 10. But I think a few of them were a bunch of bogus. So I'll give you a few of the ones I think are real good.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, here's one of the most common yet poor pieces of business advice. Just follow your passion and the money will come. What do you think of that one? How's that for business advice?
I immediately think of someone who loves knitting.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a multi-billionaire by knitting.
A passion for
handcrafting.
knitting cat doilies.
Yeah, I'd buy one. But it doesn't mean you'd become a billionaire
Doesn't mean they're
overnight.
going to make any money
Yeah.
on it.
Oh,
I think that's true, though. I mean, just follow your passion. I mean, would you say that bookkeeping is your passion?
From failing accounting in college, I would say no.
Dude, I never took an accounting class. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, I mean, my degree's in theology, so that doesn't have much there. Okay, here we go. This is one that we've heard lots of times too. Focus only on growth, and profits will follow.
Yeah,
Because nobody's ever outspent their growth.
never.
Never, not once.
No, just focus on making more money, and then as long as you focus on making more money,
all your problems will just magically go away.
fine. You'll be crying to the bank in a Lamborghini. It'll be fine.
Yeah, wiping with your $100 bills. Oh, it's so sad. My gosh, it's so bad.
I do
though.
believe though that a lot of people take shortcuts, and like they do believe that they try and grow so fast, they make a lot of money, but then they have their shitty reputation because they make quick money, and then it's gone. They're gone in like 2 years.
My experience is similar to that in that people who get a lot of grow their business quickly, they just leverage it.
Yeah,
They're just like, oh, I have all this income and cash flow, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy a payment,
yeah.
and then they end up without the cash flow, and then they can't make the payment, and then you're broke.
Yep.
And that's how things go. Focus only on growth, profits will follow. I think that's terrible. Okay, here's another one that I thought was also terrible advice. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. What do you think about that? That's good or bad advice, first of all?
Well, ChatGPT says it's bad advice.
I also say it's bad advice, but
Yeah.
what do you think?
So if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, don't fix it.
Well, in a business context, I could see that being bad advice. In a relationship context, I think in some to some extent. It's not.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think, but they're different.
Yes, exactly. So I'm trying to think of it in a business context.
Like, how do you grow and expand? Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say,
I guess I'm trying to figure out the business side of it versus the personal. Because personal side, I think is great. If it's not broken, why would you try and fix something that's not broken? But
I agree with you.
But on the business side, how is that bad advice?
I think you're just constant. I think the target is ever changing. I think the moment that you think, oh, I've nailed this, the market change, maybe the people's what people find valuable in your business might change. Like Amazon started as a bookstore.
True. Okay.
You know
So
what I mean?
adaptability.
Like okay, it's why would we change this thing? It's perfect.
Got
Oh,
it.
and now you're running the world, and you're in almost every home in the world, or in America for sure.
Yeah, I Amazon this morning.
What's that?
I Amazon this morning.
Yeah, there you go. I did too. Look at us, just helping the economy.
Yeah, we're just
one
trying to,
friend after another.
Somebody's got to pay for his yacht. So
Somebody's got to pay for his yacht.
yeah, but no, I get that. I like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think you should always be trying to see if there's a better way to do something. I think you should always try to find out if there's a better, more efficient way to do things. Like we've not kept, like we've had a lot of things that have worked, and we've changed just about everything. We talked about branding.
Yeah,
that's been working
every
fine.
year. We've been changing.
Like,
we've been adapting.
That would say though that you shouldn't rebrand.
Yeah, I get it now.
not broken,
I
don't
look
fix
at it as
it.
adapting now that you re-say it out.
Yeah, I would just adapt. I think it's good. Okay, here's one that I think you and I both really agree on.
Okay.
We both agree this is bad advice. You need to be cheap to attract customers.
Yeah, the worst advice you can be.
Yeah. The race to the bottom price is not usually a recipe for success.
No, just because you undercut everyone, you got the deal, doesn't mean that's good.
Well, it worked for Standard Oil, but that was a little bit different. That was how they commandeered the entire industry.
I was gonna say that was way before there was regulations on that shit too. That whole story is pretty badass though.
It is crazy.
Some of the oil companies go bankrupt just to
outlive.
just to outlive the competition.
Yeah, they would literally lose money and lose money and lose money.
Yeah.
Just so that other people couldn't survive.
Yep, and then
that's so crazy. It's diabolical, honestly, man. That's pretty tough, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would sleep well at night doing that, but I understand what they did. It makes math sense. It obviously worked really well for them.
So well that they had made a new law. You can't do that anymore.
Exactly. They're like, hey, by the way, this is not fair.
Yep.
Okay. Here's a couple more. You ready for this? Okay, I'll give you three more. If your product is good enough, marketing isn't necessary.
Yeah, to an extent.
Okay.
So here's I've heard this a couple times. So there's one. We actually have a couple clients that came in and they've built their entire business on referrals.
Right.
Their marketing percentage is like 2% or non-existent.
Yeah.
So they have a good problem in the sense of like, hey, you have this whole area that you haven't spent any money on, and you're making an income that you're surviving on that you really you enjoy. But you want to grow, and eventually you want to step out of the business and not just be the one doing all the work, but you want to actually become the business owner, not just being self-employed. So how do you do that? So to that point, they wanted, like, you got to dump money into the marketing aspect, because then think of how much doors can open, how much more business you can get, and then you can really scale that way. So
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Mike.
yeah, true, well played. Not like this conversation anymore.
Okay, just two more.
Okay.
This one
Yeah.
really applies. This is what ChatGPT says is poor but common business advice. Stick to your original business plan no matter what.
You are right, and you are the only person that matters. So don't change it.
Don't change it. Your opinion is flawless.
Yep, exactly. No, we've changed ours a million times. So
I know.
Yeah.
I think that's terrible advice too. I understand that things can be shiny and people might want to derail and like they can get distracted. Totally agree. You have to have some sort of strategy and some sort of plan.
Yeah.
But every year you and I do that. We go through that every single year. We talk about what the year's coming up, what we're going to accomplish, what we're trying to get done. And we also do 3 and 5 years out. You know, we're looking further into the future as well.
Yep.
Every single year we talk about those things. But man, I tell you what, if our business plan hadn't changed, we wouldn't be here.
Well, we change it every year based on the data. So
Correct.
You don't
Yeah.
want to just keep thinking your original idea was the one that's going to stick. Just listen to the data the more you grow. So I agree on that. All right, what's the last one?
Oh, here we go. Never say no to a paying client.
To a paying client?
Yeah, never say no to a paying client. What do you think about that?
I think that one's bit us in the ass before multiple times, and that's the probably worst one. And also almost likely planted that one to be the last one because it's a nice little segue into where we're going. But I 100% agree that is absolutely terrible advice. Just because they're going to pay you money does not mean you want to work with that person.
Yeah.
Do not compromise your values and your morals.
It doesn't make you their bitch just because they pay you.
Yeah.
You can fire clients and they can fire you. That's the way it works.
Hold your standards, hold your boundaries, hold your values.
Well, we've had definitely some experiences where clients have been upset or not had a good experience with us.
Yeah.
And we readily admit that has happened.
Correct.
So like, how do you work on dealing with angry clients?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good conversation we get into today, because it's a lot of people. We do have right now currently 127 5-star reviews on Google, but it's not like we haven't had somebody who's not happy with us before.
Totally,
so it's good. It's nice to be able to get into the other side of business ownership. I'm like, yeah, you're going to get some shitty clients, and you might get lucky and they don't do any Google reviews, or they might put you on blast anywhere. But how you handle bad, what was the original question? How do you handle bad?
Like, how do you angry customers? Like, people have a right to be angry.
Correct.
But I think that's a big thing that you and I talk about often is like, people are allowed to be upset.
Yeah. So a common thread in our entire podcast and this business ownership is always putting your ego aside.
Right.
So you don't want to be, you don't want to get defensive right away. Typically, I actually would say the best clients we've ever had are the ones who've left us.
Oh, that's a great statement.
Yeah. Because not just because there's so few.
Never judge me on my winners.
Judge me on my losers because I have so few. I think it's because we've been fortunate enough for the people to leave us to give us the advice on why they left us.
Man, dude, I didn't tell you this, but I got an email just the other day.
We lost a client?
No, they had decided to take over their own bookkeeping for a while.
Oh, good on them.
And then they came back to me though and said, hey, like, just from my CPA's perspective, before we even took over, like, things weren't good, and here's what the CPA had to say. And I wrote back to him. I was like, man, I respect you tremendously. He had no reason to do it. He's like, I just know that you care how your business is run. I wanted you to get some feedback.
Was it good or bad? What the CPA said?
It was bad.
What the CPA said our work was bad?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's what happens sometimes.
What was in the industry that we focus on?
Yeah, but it was done by somebody we fired because we didn't like their work.
That's fair.
So I tend to agree with them because I'm like, yeah, the quality of the work of hiring that one individual was not good. It's why that person's not here anymore.
Yeah.
And that's one of the risks that we all take, right? Like, it's very difficult to figure out who's going to do a good job bookkeeping. So now we have a system, again, like, some of the best employees were the ones that left too.
Yeah.
If you're going to use that same analogy, because those were the situations that showed us that we had some inefficiencies in a particular area or in a skill set or something that we offered. And so, finding the right bookkeepers who are competent is very challenging. Because, like, what are you going to do in an interview? Be like, hey, can you show me your company's books that you're working on?
Yeah, that's fair. You got to.
So I can take a look at your work. Like that, I'd be very upset if somebody one of our employees gave another company access to our books.
Because then they could give their
it's just crazy
access to our books. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. That's obviously completely illegal.
That's fair.
Not gonna happen. So it's like it's very difficult to figure out. And so I like the feedback though because it helps us hire better. It helps us do a better job training. It helps us in every single area. Is it fun?
No,
it hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah, because you take everything very personally, or we both take everything very personally, especially owning your own business. It's your baby, right? So
yeah,
to hear that feedback or the criticism is very difficult. But again, to your point, like, I mean, when it was just you and I, and we had one bookkeeper, and then we had two bookkeepers, and then we started bringing in more clients, it was easy to manage 50 people.
Totally.
Or 50 clients. And then once we got past the 75, 80, 100, our communication started going down, and we had people leave us because they're like, hey, the communication's not there. I haven't heard from you in forever. I haven't heard from my bookkeeper that often. Then we realized, okay, communication is something we want to pride ourselves in, and we're losing that because we had it at this stage of life. Now we're not there anymore. So we had to listen to the feedback and address that issue and take them at their word for it.
Right.
That's what happened with the client care representative. We brought somebody in to be able to start checking in with clients every 2 months, making sure people are up to date, sending monthly profit and loss statements. We had to talk with our employees. You need to respond back within 24 to 48 hours.
Please, for the love of God, please answer your goddamn emails.
Yeah. So, so we learned that as we went. So we lost clients because of communication. That there was a problem we realized we needed to address. We had at the beginning, second stage of business, we needed to address it. So we hired to it. So again, some of the best clients we had were the ones who left us.
That's such a good point.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with employees, right? I mean, like you said, we had an employee that were like, okay, we're going to hire contractors originally.
Yeah.
Right?
We did.
Yeah. We hired contractors originally and said W-2 employees.
It was horrible.
And we realized we don't have the control that we need.
For us, it didn't work. I would prefer to do it that way. It's cheaper. It's easier. But man, when you have to produce a product and you want to have significant influence on the results, you have to have employees.
Correct. So we learned that the hard way too. 1099s are what we want, but that's not what we need for what we're trying to accomplish. So we got W-2 employees.
Yeah.
And not everyone's a W-2 employee. Like 90% of them are W employees, right? So we learned that one the hard way too. So the only time I think, or I mean, for myself personally, on the sales perspective, right? I've had clients who come back and been like, "Hey, you told me you could do this one thing and you can't. Like you said you could, your team can't do that."
Definitely happened.
Then and I was like, "Fuck." I had to check my own ego at the door and be like, "Okay, so now I can't. Okay, you're right. I was over promising this, and I was good at sales in that aspect, but now I realize I'm overselling something our team can't handle, or something that we shouldn't be providing, or something that we should be providing, but in a different facet." So,
or for a different price, promising
right?
things at a price that's like, the team's like, what?
Yeah.
We're going to do what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and again, it just shifted. Like the sales process worked at the beginning when we're running with 40 people, right? 40 clients coming in. Yeah, I could overpromise them because I could deliver on those over promises. But then once we got to past the 40 to 70, 80, it was hard to keep those same promises because we had so many more people. And that's when we started shifting from just a consulting into the bookkeeping. And that's why we had to make that line of demarcation between the bookkeeping and the consulting part.
Yeah.
So I had to adjust my sales language.
Because it's not the same.
Yeah, because we lost people because
we're cross-selling it. Yeah.
So it was just one of those things you got to constantly learn and understand that when the clients that leave you, just be blessed enough that they give you feedback. The worst clients that could leave you, or the worst thing that could happen, or you lose clients and no one tells you shit.
You have no idea why.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's the other side of things, right? So what might be interesting for people to know, and I don't know how other entrepreneurs are, maybe they're just sociopaths or psychotic or something. But when we lose a client or we screw up, like it impacts us significantly.
Yep.
It's almost like this feeling sometimes that people have. It's like that the business owners just don't care.
Yeah.
That they're just like, oh, they don't care, just whatever. They got my money and they're on a run. Man, we care tremendously. Like I might not show it in a meeting because it's maybe not the appropriate time, but man, when I get home, I'm like, God damn it. Like I want things to be excellent. Like I want us to do an exceptional job for our people, for our employees, for our clients. And when we screw up, like we take that really seriously.
It's a personal hit. I mean, because we are the ones ultimately in control.
Absolutely.
It's our product. Even though we have even if an employee messed up, even if a sales rep messed up, even if something happened internally, it's our company, it's our name.
Correct.
That hits personally no matter what. We don't just pass off the blame and be like, oh, well, it's the bookkeeper's fault. It's not our fault. No, it's our fault. We should have overseen that. We should have been more clear on directions. We should have done something. We're the overseers. We're the ones who are in control of the totality of the business. So anybody who leaves us, no matter whose fault it is, it comes down to us, and it's a personal hit. So never blame your employees on shit like that, because you're the owner of the company. You should have seen it coming, and or you have the right to be able to address it in the way you needed to. So
at the end of the day, somebody has to be responsible. They have to be the one that ultimately has to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And no matter how big the company gets, that still is going to come down to the ownership. It's always going to come down to that. Now, it might be your CEO, right? There might be an ownership structure and the CEO is responsible, but somebody's going to be responsible. But guess what? That CEO is going to be responsible to the board. You know what I mean? So it's like at some point, somebody has to be accountable. And the best business owners, from my perspective, really run towards that level of accountability because they know that is the only way that your business gets better.
Yep. Yeah. New procedures get implemented. You just got to figure out how to not make that happen again. And there's sometimes that there are sometimes when clients leave you that it really wasn't, you could have prevented it at the beginning. And we've learned that the hard way too. And going back to the quote, it's like we would take any and every customer at the beginning. I remember when I first got in the freaking industry, in the financial industry, when I was going from the W-2 into warehousing into business ownership, and I was entrepreneurship, and I would take up any meeting. I would meet at 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 p.m., 2 a.m.
Whatever.
Yeah. If you're going to give me money, I will meet you wherever you want. But I realized over time, like the business was really running me, and I wasn't running my own business. And
well said.
I got absolutely crushed mentally, physically, spiritually. I was giving everything to the business. But I gained like 30 pounds in the first year because of all the beer meetings I had and the happy hour meetings. I was losing sleep, wasn't going to the gym as well or as much. Like I was just constantly working, trying to take any and everyone on as a client. And it was not good advice. Or not to myself, just that I needed all the money.
It's hard not to do that when you're starting.
Yeah.
It's hard to be more selective when you're just starving. Yeah, I don't know that. I would like to ideally say that people should only work with the people they want to work with, but when you're starting, like at some point, you have to say yes to something you wouldn't normally, or maybe you don't. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that one.
No, you said it right. Originally, when we first started, you have to set your boundaries, but the boundaries can be more of like values than necessarily. You pick and choose your boundaries, right? Like, so for us, family's always been a boundary. So we do not take meetings every other Friday when we have our boys, right? That's just the way it is. I mean, that was a boundary, but we'll work extra long.
It's very rare.
Yeah,
it has happened, but it's very rare.
Yeah, but we'll also take the extra hours on the days that most people are done at 5 o'clock.
Like, for example, I have my boys today. It's a Friday, but I took a 7 a.m. meeting before they even got up.
Yeah.
But that was very rare.
Yes. Again,
Just fuck 7 a.m. meetings, honestly.
I never do that. I did that. Remember, I did that one time and I freaking forgot that. I did pre-workout on my way out and I was like, oh shit,
That's right.
8 a.m. meeting.
You're like all jacked up on pre-workout. And you get the notification that you have to train a class, wasn't it?
Yeah, in 15 minutes.
In 15 minutes, it's like you totally forgot.
And I was walk out the door. I will 100% own up to that one. That was a terrible schedule conflict that I did to myself. I thought I could do it. I forgot about it.
I remember you calling me after that when you're like, dude, I've got to go do something. I need to go run around the block or something.
Yeah, it was bad. I was sweating profusely on that call. Shaking.
People thought that you're like doing lines beforehand or something.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness.
It was freaking terrible. I'm not going to lie. It was not my best work. And I'd like halfway through, I had to like turn my camera off just to wipe the sweat off my face. It was so bad, dude. So I should have held my own boundaries and not taken that class.
Oh man,
I didn't need it that bad. I should have just been like, "Hey, I don't do meetings at this time." So
yeah, it's for everybody's best interest.
Yeah, trust me, because I'm not even. All right, I can barely. That's why I don't do BNI groups and stuff. I can't.
Dude.
Can't do that stuff anymore. But at the beginning, I mean, there's give and takes, right? I was saying yes to every opportunity networking. So there are times that we'll go to networking event at 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's like very few and far between. I mentally prepare for it. I typically I'm like, okay, remind myself the night before. This one got away from me, but remind myself the night before and I plan it, but I don't do it all the time. Right. So you're right. When you're just starting out as an entrepreneur and you see somebody willing to pay you money, I know it's going to be hard not to say no to that person.
Right.
Because you want to say yes to everyone. You're like, oh my God, I afford groceries this month, so I'm going to say yes to this person. One quote you have that you gave me a long time ago, the philosophical quote, if you want to.
Oh, one about the details?
Yeah. I think it's very important, no matter who you work with, is to have a philosophical conversation to make sure you're both in alignment with just at least the values or at least the premise of how you guys both think. Because after that, it'll make the transaction or the saying yes or no to that person so much easier. And you can, what's the quote?
Yeah, a philosophy of even how you work together, or a philosophy about money, or a philosophy of what you're trying to accomplish, like whatever that is. So the phrase is, if you agree philosophically, the details don't matter. And if you don't agree philosophically, then the details don't matter. So you got to start off with philosophy. Yes. Because at that, you could be going around and around and around, and some people might have businesses that are stalling or sales that are stalling because they're talking about details, not realizing that they're not even philosophically on the same page about what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do, how they want to work together, what their value systems are, what their priorities are. And that is a critical missing step in a lot of business development, and especially in the sales process, where it's like, hey, are we even trying to get to the same thing? Especially if you're a service provider, it gets really tricky.
Primarily service, yeah.
Yeah, because you're just you just want everything, but at the same point, it's like, man, I don't know. You have to if you're, I'll put it this way, if you are a car detailer, and your philosophy is the cleaner the car, the better job I did. That's a totally reasonable philosophy. Mm-hmm. Whereas the consumer might say, I want this done quickly. That's where my value system is. I want this to be done quickly, and if it's not perfect, that's fine, but I need my car in an hour and a half. And the car dealer is like, well, I need 6 hours.
Yeah.
They're gonna be diametrically opposed because the philosophy on what they're paying for and the value is just different. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a quick detail that's a little bit different. There's nothing wrong with wanting a perfect detail that's going to take a lot longer. The point is that they're not philosophically aligned versus, a car detailer is saying hey, my philosophy is the cleaner that I can get this car, the better job that I did for you, regardless of how long it takes. And the consumer goes, absolutely, I agree. I want this thing spotless.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck if you're in their driveway for 6 hours.
Yep.
They're like, I want you to do the best job possible. It's going to be a completely different working experience.
Agreed. Yeah. So you talk to them, you agree on the philosophical way you guys are going to work together, and then you move forward. If you agree on that, then like you said, the details don't matter. It's like, okay, you took 6 hours instead of 5. At the beginning, we both wanted the card to be clean. I hit the goal. You didn't care about the details because you really wanted this thing to be spotless for your date tonight.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we
We're
are.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's it, right? So there's that old, what are they called? The freaking Venn diagrams,
Oh, yeah.
right? Of good, cheap, and fast.
Yeah.
Remember that?
This is a good one.
You can only have 2 of the 3: good, cheap, and fast. You can have cheap and fast, but that's low quality. You can have good and cheap, that's going to be too slow. Or you can have fast and good, but that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think that sticks out to me when you're talking about, like philosophically meeting, right? So, and going back again to the cheap clients, like one of our philosophies we have, if the moment somebody opens up talking to us about bookkeeping and the first thing they care about is price, we're probably not going to be a good fit.
Totally.
Because the
data, it's not a perspective. The data has told us that that's what happens.
Yep.
When somebody's main concern when hiring a bookkeeper is the price, we don't do well.
Yep.
And the main reason why is because we're not the cheapest. Like we said, we're never going to be a race to the bottom. We also believe that we provide way more value than the price. We're a profit center, not just financially, but even just with knowledge and understanding and having a resource and support and all those sorts of things. And so the way I look at that is I go, listen, if our, philosophically, one of our main things is we want to provide tremendous value. But if somebody doesn't see the value, they only see the price, we're not going to work well together.
Yep.
We're philosophically opposed in what values we bring to the table. So it's just like, I just want the cheapest, fastest thing possible, to your point. And we're probably more on the other line where we're like, we want to be good and slow. It would be ideal for us, right? It's just not reality. We do have a lot of deadlines, but that would be what we would prefer.
Yep.
We would prefer everything to be perfect. Like one of our company standards is perfect books, as perfect as the information we have.
Yep.
That's one of our standards.
Exactly.
And so it's like, that to us means that people are going to need to pay more than they would for cheap and fast.
Exactly. And if they wanted the people who come to us last minute, right, who want like, hey, I forgot, I need my books done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, our number one thing is we're going to have perfect books. So there's that. That's not moving. That's staying there. But if you want them to be done well, it's going to be done expensive. Because we're going to have perfect books. And if you want them done fast, guess what that equals? Expensive. So now I got to pull off some of my bookkeepers onto your project. I have a deadline and we got to work overtime to get this done. So yes, we can accomplish it if I'll double check with my team first. Obviously. And they're like, yeah, we can do it. I'll be cool. But it's going to be expensive because we got to put a rush on it and you want the same quality, but we also want to make sure that we're done perfect. So
yeah, it's just not going to work. And so I think where we've really screwed up and had angry clients is when we've not done that well.
Given the homie hookup.
Yeah. I mean, that's even, oh man.
Don't work with friends who just ask for fucking free services because they're your friends. Fuck that.
Say it again for the people in the back, Mike.
If your friends or family are asking you for discounts because they're your friends or family, fuck that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do not respect you enough, in my opinion, to pay you for your lifestyle and for what you're worth. And they want a friend. They want because we've been friends, they deserve a fucking discount. No, I think because we're friends, you pay the full price because you respect me.
And tip well.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, right? But it's like an example. Yeah. So I've had friends who've owned restaurants and coffee shops and stuff like that. I would go bring people there because I'm like, hey, we're going to have a meeting at a coffee shop. Let's go to the coffee shop that my friends own, right? Like, let's go there. We're going to pay full price. We're going to tip well. We're going to clean up after ourselves. We're going to help create a good environment because this is my freaking homie.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I want his business. I want people to come in there and be like, dude, this place is awesome. And I'm going to be a part of that. If our friends do almost anything, like we try as hard as possible to work with people, pay them exactly what they ask for, and then try to do above and beyond. And the reason why is because we understand where they're coming from.
Yep.
We understand what's going on in their lives. And man, I'm telling you what, I agree with you. The moment you have a friend or a family member who asks something for free or heavily discounted, you have to say no.
Yeah, and they can joke about it. I mean, because I've done that before. I'm like, hey, you want to throw in a little extra or whatever because we're friends or whatever. Yeah, I'm joking, but I'm not going to ever not go to you because of the fact that I didn't get that.
You know what normally happens is normally we do it if they don't ask.
Yeah.
Like I've given major discounts like at cost to family members, but nobody's ever asked.
That's true. They don't ask, and then the other thing is, for me at least, I don't tell them.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm like,
yeah,
I know
it's like this. It's like this. It's like going out on a date, right?
Yeah.
And it's like just the fact that if a girl brings out her card, even if she's pretending to pay, doesn't it make you want to pay more?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
the most annoying thing is when they don't even offer it.
When it was just like expected.
Expectations are the most annoying thing in the whole fucking world. I'm like, dude, if you expect
especially unsaid expectations.
Unsaid expectations. The moment you expect me to do something, I'm not going to do it anymore.
That is exactly who you are.
But the moment you show that you're like, hey, I'm like you said, if I'm on a date and somebody brings out their card, it makes me want to be like, hey, I fucking appreciate that.
That's great.
I got this.
Yeah.
It gives me a chance to show you who I am.
Dude.
But if you don't do that, it gives me a chance to see who you are. Especially if it's our first date.
Yeah.
Because the first date expectations are the guy always pays. Totally agree. And I'm okay for that. But I just want the effort of you saying...
Just even pretend.
Yeah, because what if the date sucks? Then I'm like, thank God we're on the same page. Yeah, split that bill. Then you know how I feel truly because I say split the bill. I don't want anything from this. Yeah.
I think it's best if we're just friends.
Yeah, and I'll prove that to you by not saying, hey, put that card away. I'll be like, no. That's like a good
that's
sign
fair.
right there.
You should definitely pay for your own food.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She's got the steak and I'll take the mashed potatoes. And we'll split the drinks.
Dude, I had a buddy a while ago. He and his sister used to go to have lunch regularly, and she is a very successful attorney. And at that time, he was not as successful, more like he was in graphic arts and design and things like that. And he's done very well since then. But originally, he wasn't doing super great. So he would go out to lunch with his sister, and they'd always go to these nice places because she's like an attorney, and she'd pay for lunch. And then they'd always go get coffee afterwards. And he's like, "Oh no, I got your coffee.
Yeah,
don't you worry about it."
Hey, but the point is, he's still at least
the
doing
effort,
it.
right?
Yeah, he's still offering.
Yeah.
He knows they know each other well enough.
Yeah, he knows that he's not going to afford those lunches every week.
But yeah,
but he can knock out the coffee.
Oh, man, that's pretty funny, actually.
I think it's funny too.
But
don't worry about this.
Going back to the business thing, though, on like I said, if people, I can hear it in their voice when they're like, I can tell if they're being genuinely needing help or they're pretty open about like, hey, are you going to give me a hookup kind of thing, like. The expectation versus the not, right? I can tell in their voice that they're just really struggling. They really need the help. And then in my opinion, I'm like, okay, what can I do? How can I do this? Not the cheapest, but like not, just really go basically like
Is there anything that was like a reasonable, blend of the two, right? Is there any, what's sort of looking at when you and I both have different. Yeah,
marriage.
exactly.
I think that's what you're thinking about. Marriage.
Compromise. That's what I'm looking for.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Marriage,
but you can come to a compromise on maybe we're not going to produce the level of quality that we would like to, but maybe there's some parts of that might not be completely necessary for this particular client or situation.
Correct.
So maybe there's a way we can meet in the middle.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm very open about that too. I mean, there's times where I'm like, listen, I really don't think you need us. I think you need more of a this person over here. So I'm going to introduce you to before we did the tax filing, I'll introduce you to the CPA over here. What they're going to do is I think they can figure your situation out. I will give you an email of exactly what you need to do, what they're going to be asking for anyway. And I think you can do it on your own. Now, if you follow this email, things should be good. If the CPA really thinks we need to come in there, then we'll talk again. That being said, the email I'm going to give you is super extensive. And if you need help, call me. I'm not going to charge you for 20, 50 minutes to help you out, to get you on the right foot, to eventually be able to work together down the road. Even if we don't, it's just I can tell in her voice or their voice that they just needed a little guidance and a little help, and I'm totally fine with that.
Absolutely.
But if they call and they just expect
But that's because we are mission oriented, and our mission is to be go-to trusted financial advocates for real estate agents and independent contractors. So you can accomplish that sometimes in a 10-minute phone call.
Yep.
At a very high level, and that's a really good ROI for us, not financially but mission wise.
Yeah.
Which does matter. Like I don't know. You and I are both really big believers in putting goodwill in the world.
Yep.
And like what you plant, what you reap,
you sow.
Yeah, what you reap, you sow. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, what you reap, you sow. Right. So it's like there's been so many times where we've done free classes, where we've traveled for free. We haven't charged anybody for anything for a long time, and then. I think those things came back in spades. All of those phone calls, all the times where people are like, "Hey, can I just talk to you for a little while?" Yeah, dude. Even a friend of mine just the other day was like, "Hey, man, can I take you out to lunch and pick your brain?" Now, normally I'd be like, "No, here's my hourly rate."
Yeah.
But like, I could tell that. To your point, I could tell that it wasn't gonna be a waste of my time.
Yep.
I could tell that they were prepared, they were hungry, they had specific questions they want to go over. I was like, "Cool, man. Like, absolutely. Like, let's do it." You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. Bing!
Are we out of time?
No, it's his calendar.
It's just a calendar.
Oh. Are we supposed to be somewhere right now?
No, I don't think so.
I was going to say, this is where our executive assistant would come in. This is why we need an executive assistant, because knowing us, it would be like, oh, and we're supposed to be at a class right now. Oh, man.
Well, dude, let's go over a couple more things before we end up. So there was a couple of situations. So obviously, we haven't done well historically, and we've gotten into negative business relationships with people, or where they got angry with us. One is if their main issue was money, we just pushed it through. Another one for us was when we really were trying to work outside of our scope of expertise.
Yep.
And I have a really difficult time with this one, predominantly because part of branching out and trying other avenues or different industries for the type of services that we provide is how you grow the business. But at the same time, you don't want to be in an industry where you're not providing the same level of benefit. So there's this tension between trying and accepting the results or pushing through the results, right? So whether, like we talked about earlier, are we going to give up, or are we going to have that grit and like just keep going forward? Like, do we really think there's an opportunity here? So I'll give you an example. So we learned that, most like long haul trucking is not good for us. That's very challenging for us. There's a lot of very specific laws and rules and taxes that have to do with that type of cargo, and it just didn't work well for us. I don't think we screwed anything up too badly, but it just didn't work well. Also, companies for us that need because of the way our model sets up, companies who need us to be very, very quick and available. Like if they text us or call us, they need something done right away. Has not worked well for us. It's just our systems are not really set up to be that responsive. If a company needs something like that, they really should have somebody in house.
Agreed. The other one that hurt was construction.
In which regard?
Construction companies, you need more of like an in-house cost accountant.
Oh yeah.
Something like that, to the nails, to the all that stuff, to the screws that are in there.
Yeah, general contracting stuff we do well with, even some subs. But yeah, if you need to know how many screws were on a job site, that's just not where we're
same thing with inventory. Same thing. Like we just don't do it with inventory. The shitty part, like you said, is you want to try it, but if you don't know if you're good at it or not until you try it, and if you fail, it's like it's like a hit, and you're like, okay.
You feel bad because the clients are mad.
Yeah,
because they're like they're gonna get upset at you because you weren't able to perform at the level you wanted to. And I recognize and respect that tension. I've been on both sides of that as a consumer, and like paid for something I didn't feel like I got the value from. And then I'm also on the side of the ownership side where I know that we have sold something that we didn't provide the level of value that we're even comfortable with. And so it gets, it's such an interesting tension because you have to be willing to, for people to be upset. You have to be willing to fail. The challenging thing is that you're failing at somebody else's expense and learning sometimes at other people's expense.
That part's
hard. And that part, man, it weighs on me, man. It's not just this simple like, oh, fuck you guys, we're learning and we're growing this business. We're just like so like, blinders on that we're just running and we don't care who's next to us or what the damage is behind us. I don't feel like, like Mr. Bean where he's like driving around like all the cars are like going behind him and like things are blowing up and people are dying and things like that from his things, but he doesn't care because he got to his destination. That's not how I think most business owners are. Most business owners that I've ever encountered or known at that level care tremendously that they're doing right by people. Care tremendously when they screw up. And also, this is where the kind of the grit comes through, and also can push through that. Because I remember certainly in the early years when we would screw up with a client, it felt so fragile. Like the business felt so fragile. It was like, oh my gosh, if we lose this client, we're going to lose the whole business, And it's been a while since I felt that way, but man, it certainly felt like that. Every client was so important and mattered so much. And I just was so frustrated when we screwed stuff up. But to your point, that's how we got better. So I feel bad that we learned at other people's expenses, but that is how all like life experiences go.
That's just the nature of the business.
That's just life.
Well, I mean, in relationships too, it's like I was a shitty boyfriend for this period of time, but now I didn't realize these are things I needed, or the things I wanted, or I mean, my vision of I grew up thinking like I wanted this, stay at home wife, like, take care of the kids, and I'm the breadwinner and stuff like that. And then I tried that, and it's not what I want. And again, to your point, it sucks because it's at somebody else's expense, and the hardest part is not taking things personally. Because I didn't like the blame saying like, well, you said you wanted this and you said you wanted that and you lied to me. I did not intentionally lie to you. I did what I thought I wanted and what I thought was benefit for both of us at the time. And then I grew as a person, and my mindset shifted, and I had to make adjustments, and we were no longer a fit. But you can't blame me for my mindset shifting, even though it's like, I understand your pain, but they take the pain out on you. And in business, it's the same thing. You lose a client, and the client at their expense because you tried to help them out in a different avenue that we're used to. Now it didn't work out, and you're like, hey, I'm not the best fit. You can own up to it, which you should, right? You say, hey, I'm just sorry, I'm not the best fit. But you can't control how they perceive it and how they take it. And the hardest part is now I've heard it before. People go out in the community and be like, oh, they fucked everything up, or they suck at this, or they're not this. And it's so hard for me not to go, like, just to not defend our company.
Do you have any idea, like, what happened behind the scenes on that one?
Yeah. Do you know that I fucking gave you a homie hookup discount, and I should have been charging you this, but I didn't? And now you're going to go out there and say we suck because I asked you for more money because I didn't charge you the original price? I came back and bit me in the ass, or whatever the foot, or whatever the fuck that thing is. I don't know why I keep saying the other one, but is that the right one? The snake?
You can get bit in the ass. That sucks.
True.
Well, it kind of depends.
But the point is, like, the fact that I did everything I could to help you out. We weren't a good fit, and now you're going to go out and talk shit to me, to other people about us. But that's hard not to go to defend that, because it's not hard to not go defend it. You want to go and defend it, but you got to, as long as you.
Dude, I think it's hard.
Yeah, but again, where do you focus your energy, right? So the old saying,
it's just not necessary.
The best, one of the best quotes. that I'm going to turn this part into a reel. If you're out in the Amazon, you got bit by a fucking snake. You do not go chasing the snake, figuring out why it bit you. You focus on getting the poison out and getting back to work. There you go. I think it was like that. Let's try that again. Rewind.
That was great. I like that.
I only get to be in the Amazon, just in general. I think the Amazon part just came out of thin air.
It just gives a nice visual. But
yeah.
No, that makes total sense. It's like people chase the thing that hurt them instead of trying to find the solution for like what's actually.
Now you're gonna take that reel is perfect. Yeah. There you go. You're welcome. So I think that's it. So let them talk. Focus on what you're doing. Stay focused on what you need to do. You do learn other people's.
But if the snake's gonna tell you why it bit you, you should listen to that.
Exactly.
Like sometimes the snake's like, "Hey, listen, you stepped on my goddamn tail."
Yeah,
like,
watch where you're going. Oh.
Watch where you're going.
Got it.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, or you fucking killed my brother last week on accident while you were riding your boat.
Jerry!
Exactly.
So I always think about that when I kill an ant. It's like some ant mom is like, Billy, where's Billy? Billy didn't make it home. Oh,
that's pretty weird.
So bad.
Yeah, so I would say that's it. For the clients, you're learning at people's expenses, unfortunately, but you cannot control how they take it personally. Like it's
correct. You are not in control of their emotions. They could view it multiple different ways. That's up to them. I think what is beneficial for people to know, especially entrepreneurs, is that most entrepreneurs struggle with this.
Yeah.
They struggle with letting people down. They have a huge chip on their shoulder. They desperately want to be liked,
yeah.
And we want to be successful and valuable and all those sorts of things. And when we very obviously fail, it really bothers us for a while. Now, earlier on, it bothered us a lot more.
Yep.
But now I think we see it more through the lens of, what's the word I'm looking for? I think we see it more through like a lens of the whole, as the company as a whole. Nothing, it's not so fragile. So it's like, okay, in the grand scheme of things.
To me, it's a data point now.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
That's fair. I don't know. I don't really feel like I feel like that too, but I don't want to reduce people to data points. But I do think situationally that does happen.
Well, it's easier to not take it as personally anymore. In the sense, like I can still take it personally, but I now think about it as like, okay, is this a common theme? Like
right.
This, like now we've messed up on a couple of businesses that are outside of that. But that also the other thing too, though, it gives me the confidence in where we're at. Right, like I could walk into a room and say, "No, I am the best fucking bookkeeping firm with my business partner. We are the best bookkeeping firm." I did it too, goddamn. We are the best bookkeeping firm for real estate agents and independent contractors. Goddamn it, we're the best real estate. God, you screwed me up. Okay,
I didn't do anything. I know you were on your own.
I fucked that one up. I thought about the thing.
You're in your head. I like it.
Okay, so because of all the things that have gone wrong outside of our lane, I am now confident enough to walk into a room anywhere and say, we are the best bookkeeping firm for real estate agents and independent contractors across the fucking country. Wholeheartedly. I know that because anytime we've gone outside of that, hasn't been the best. So I'm not going to say we're the best bookkeeping firm for everyone. But when I'm talking about real estate agents and independent contractors, you best goddamn believe it. We are the best.
Yeah.
So, because I've learned that because anytime I've gone away from that, it hasn't gone the best.
Yeah.
But in that realm, you can't beat us. So those losses of clients, those things that have failed, have made our confidence even stronger in what we're damn good at.
Yeah. It really is a silver lining because, letting people down is painful. I don't like people being upset at us. Growing is just painful. It's difficult. There's a lot of lessons to be learned along the way. It's fucking expensive. Like the more money you bring in doesn't mean the more money you make by any stretch of the imagination, because you're always ahead of the revenue. You're building, like we were talking about in that podcast with Brandon, like you're constantly building a bigger container, but you're building a bigger container before there's more stuff to fill it.
Yep.
So like you have to build this bigger container to capture growth. Well, there's a cost to building that bigger container that doesn't get realized until after it's already built.
Yep.
And so it gets really challenging when you're growing because you're constantly trying to play catch up.
Yep.
And unless you're just going to borrow a bunch of money, which happens, or raise a bunch of money, that's really the only way to get ahead of it. But then you're in debt. So, we've been pretty lucky. We have very, very little debt in the business, and have been able to stay ahead of that with cash flow so far. But man, it's challenging. It's not for the faint of heart in that regard.
No, you've taught me really well to to handle the emotional aspect, have a nice balance between the emotional and the analytical things. The hard part for me, again, I'm really big on the emotional part. So if you hurt somebody unintentionally but they still feel like it's intentional, that's, even though I know it was unintentional, the fact that they feel it was intentional hurts a lot. But I also don't have because you don't focus all your energy on that to make it right, it's difficult because then you feel like you're the bad guy. So for an example, I'll just be super raw on this part. It's like, when my kid's mom and when we split up, and it sucked. But then we just started working together in the business. So I had to continue just to work. I couldn't focus on being depressed and sad on, the fact I'm not going to, put my kid to sleep every night or wake up and he's there every morning. It just was a huge shift. And then I remember, the response was, it's like, you don't even care. You don't care that you just lost that aspect. I'm like, okay, first of all,
what dude,
yeah,
that crushes a dad, dude.
It does, because it's like
that crushes a man.
Yeah, nothing on her, because I'm not saying anything bad on that. That's how she felt, because that's truly how she felt. Because that was
she's right. She has every right to feel that way.
But
her feelings are valid. But
that
doesn't mean
perception though. Her perception of me was 100% correct. She said, it's like you don't even care. And to the perception that was trying to give everyone is, yeah, you're right. I don't care. Because what am I supposed to do? Sit in the corner and fucking cry, or bring those problems to work, or bring those problems to my clients?
Dude, that's not how men do things.
Nope. We had to just keep pushing forward. But every night you put your head down. You're like, dude, you realize the situation you put yourself in, that I did to myself, that's my new reality. So I do think about it. But the perception is, I don't care because I'm pushing forward. But deep down, dude, it fucking sucks. Just like losing clients. It's like, yeah, maybe you may think I don't care that we fucked up books or something like that for you, or we did something wrong, because we keep going forward and our videos are coming out and we're promoting our events.
But we seem happy.
Yeah, we seem happy.
But that's Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. But it still fucking hurts you. And I still think about I still think about a couple times where I'm like, dude, I think I really do. I fucked it up. And it still haunts me to these days of the couple things where I'm like,
I certainly know what one of them was.
Yeah,
I know.
On the business side, yeah,
100%.
So it's that thing. You have to have have a strong stomach and a strong mind, and so confident in yourself, knowing you are trying to do things the right way.
Yeah,
and a good heart, that you just have to, unfortunately, let people, you can't control them. So you just got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, Nathan. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I think a good ending spot is do you follow Jay Shetty? He's an author, speaker on Instagram.
I do not. But
really good follow. He used to be a monk.
Okay.
And then he's turned that into a really successful business. He shares a lot of things that he learned in the monastery. Was it monastery? Is that what they call it? Yeah. Monastery sounds good. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go yes. I forget, but he's a super fascinating guy.
Okay.
And I just really enjoy his content. It's really good. One of the things he was asked in a podcast, I'll paraphrase so people can fact check me, whatever. But there was something to the effect of the interviewer asked her something like, "What's your superpower?" Or no, what did he say? What's something that other people value that you no longer value? I think was the question. And he says, "I no longer value being understood."
There you go.
It's like, dude, what a fucking statement. I thought about that for years after hearing it. I was like, I no longer value being understood. I'm thinking about how much time I've wasted arguing and petitioning just so I feel like people would understand me. Has nothing to do with them agreeing or changing their mind or anything. It's just this ego of having to feel like, well, they understand. And that's some sort of magical win. And whether that's in the decisions we make in the business or how you are as an individual, to your point, with your ex, it's like, listen, I'm just have to accept that you're going to misunderstand me. Like, I'm going to be misunderstood, and I'm just going to accept that. And I'm going to sit in that tension of wanting to be understood and going, I don't know that as they say, I don't know the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Man, could you imagine what life would be like if you just didn't value being understood?
If I would have learned that a long time ago, yeah, it would have helped. I don't think it would. Everything happens for a reason, obviously, but that is a powerful quote. So if you're hearing
You have to
that
learn
for
it
the first
somehow.
time, yeah, if you're hearing that for the first time, I think learning that or implying that to your life right now is huge. And that does sum up the entire podcast.
Dude, totally.
Like,
It's just crazy. Like, what, even just from starting a business. Like, say somebody's like really genuinely considering starting a business, and people are like, "You're crazy. You're people at the warehouse."
Yeah.
Totally misunderstood. Like, they just don't get it.
Yeah. How much money are you making? Where are you gonna like? What's
What's your benefits package?
Yeah.
Nothing. How much vacation time do you have? I don't think I get
Vacation
that.
time.
Yeah, I don't think I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's really good. So Jay just really impacted my life when he said that. It's like, man, I just no longer value being understood. And I thought to myself, man, if I could get myself to a point where I was okay with being misunderstood all the time, I think my life would be tremendously better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not all sunshines and rainbows over here. We have had to deal with our hits to the face, to the gut.
But that's what you have to go through to get what other people don't get.
Yep.
What they don't have. And that's as old as it gets. It's like you said one time, you said, or it's a quote that you've used many times. It says, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do.
Exactly. That's my favorite fucking quote of all time. You talk a big game, but don't fucking put the work in. Dude. I did that at the warehouse. I'm like, you guys all bitch about wanting to go home early, but you're picking slow as hell out there, and you're taking a 35-minute extra break. So tell me again you want to go home, because I'm out here fucking, beating Tyler Eccles and picking cases and, running laps around that guy. I ran into him, by the way. I told him the whole name. So, yeah, just because I'm running laps around, but you want to go, people are bitching about wanting to go home early, like, then fucking work.
Do it.
So.
All right, man. Well, this has been really cool. Yeah. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I think people know a little bit more now about
the other side. It's beautiful when we do that. Well, yeah, where's our fucking outro?
We were great today.
The audience says it all.